Zogging Gork! That hurt!
You dig yourself out of the wreckage of your boss tower and see a few boys around you doing the same, but very few, injured and demoralised. An old doc, Bones, stomps his way through the rubble towards you.
Most of the boys is dead, boss. That zogging storm got 'em. Plenty of spare bits, though.
He hefts a detached orc arm in his hand thoughtfully.
Anyhow, as the only doc still standing, I reckon you boys could do with some R&R. I prescribe physical exercise. Should fix 'em up nicely.
He grins a mouthful of steel teeth at you.
Right!
You bellow at your boys.
Who wants a fight?
Ragged cheers greet you from across the camp. Getting your war going again means getting into fights, and lots of them. Thankfully, that's what the Orks do best. Now the boys are back in action, we need to feed them up and recruit more. Better fungus solves both problems. The boys are happy and your war is back on track. Now, to find a real fight.
Here, boss, look at this,
says Doc, indicating that the two nervous boys with him should bring their wriggling sack into your rebuilt boss tower. They drop it on the floor and back away rapidly.
What's that? A big face eater? A musling?
You ask, kicking the sack.
Nah, it's just Wordred,
Bones answers, as an orc lurches howling out of the sack's mouth, his eyes fizzing. A dangerous tension builds in your head as the green-skinned psyker gets near. You shove him back, knocking him on his backside.
The other weird boy's head's all popped in a storm,
says Doc.
And he says he can feel the thing what did it.
Wordred nods and drools.
It's a Gork thing,
he gibbers.
I swears it. Maybe Mork, right near too.
You scowl at the cowering orc psyker.
Mork my ass! Grab some boys and go look at what it really is.
Your boot helps him out of the door. Wordred isn't quite sure where the thing is, but if he wanders about a bit and your boys can clear out any nearby psychic pollution, he's sure he can track it down. Nearby can be heard the sounds of orc celebration, cheering, gunfire, and the occasional scream of a grot. Wordred, however, is wandering, his warp-addled mind restless amidst the Imperial ruins. He squats down by a seemingly inconsequential rock, sniffs at it, then presses his hand into a crack. A great chasm opens up before him, plunging into the depths of the planet.
I found something,
he mumbles to himself, dropping pebbles into it.
What is this thing?
You're standing on a hilltop, watching a mech kicking an engine the size of a hive block. The eons-old space hulk that brought you to this planet was grounded by the warp storm and terribly damaged. Your few remaining mechs are putting their heads together to fix it, hoping that you can get off planet and continue your war away from this murderous storm. Because, as Bones said,
even orcs can't fight the sky!
As you watch, the mech's banging triggers something it shouldn't. The giant engine suddenly hiccups, flash frying him, and a nearby herd of squigs. You're gnawing on your fourth flambéed squig when Wordred and his entourage bring the good news. They found the Gorkan Morg gubbins. Well, sort of. Wordred has in fact found the entrance to an underground labyrinth, which must riddle the entire world. You'll need a base much closer in order to both explore and defend it. What the zog? You've barely built your brand new fort when a bunch of Yumis arrive. They don't seem happy, but you're not sure why. Never mind, fighting them will keep the boys busy while the grots and mechs explore the tunnels. When the Yumi assault ends, you turn your attention to the labyrinth again, where a few survivors are trickling out. The snots and grots that went underground with the mechs are mostly gone, burned or torn apart by robot horrors and traps. But the mechs themselves have survived and emerged with ancient technology galore. Odgub, the most unhinged of your mechs, is bouncing with glee.
It's something Gorky or Morky, it really is!
You glare at his burnt hair squigs and the gouges torn into his armor by the tin heads in the depths, and give him a good whack to calm him down. Later, when he comes round, he explains,
Dunno what half of this gubbins is, but some bits will make the Hulk go faster than any engine I can make. Get us off this rock for sure. Just...
He trails off, looking nervously at your power claw, and backs off.
We ain't got no keys.
He's already running when you start shouting. Your patience isn't infinite. Just gather as much ancient junk as you can, then see if the keys are in there somewhere. Odgub is about to start rooting through the mound of ancient junk and artifacts your boys have collected, when the weird boy Wordred runs into the room, yelling, pursued by his minders. He dives into the pile gibbering, and when they pull him out, there's a small artifact stuck in his ear. A series of silver spikes, accompanied by a pair of stippled cubes. Odgub pulls it out and dangles it in front of you.
The keys!
The ancient engine bits look incongruously tiny and insignificant when welded to the edge of your giant hulk. But the mechs, learning from their mistakes, are taking no risks. A lone grot is dispatched to hammer on the engines in the hope of triggering them. As he strikes his first blow, the ancient devices tremble and inch the hulk clear of the ground. The grot's cheers are curtailed, however, by the hulk slamming back down, atomizing him in the blast wave. Standing on a distant hilltop, you get back on your feet with a big grin on your face. Your war isn't gonna end on this mud ball. Now, you only have to work out how to get through the warp storm without getting torn apart by demonic horrors. Odgub has a cunning plan though. All the Hulk needs is to be a bit faster. And what goes fastest? Red ones! You don't have enough red paint by far, and most of the paint squeaks died in the warp storm, so it'll be months before there are more. But the Yumis have probably got tons of it in their city. Failing all else, they ooze red when you hit them. Why not ask them nicely for some? As you sit on the wreckage of an armoured vehicle, the Yumi city burns in the distance. One of Bones' grot orderlies is stitching your ear back on, with understandable caution. Bones and Odgub are managing the collection of the red stuff from the Yumis. Even with a missing ear, it's pretty noisy. All is ready. The mechs have tested the engines, the Hulk has been painted a particularly bloody shade of scarlet, and all the Orks in the war believe it's gonna work. Now, you just have to move the moon-sized ship to a good launch spot for what Odgub calls the right lunch tragedy, and hit the big red button, and tie Wordred to the front for luck. Bones sidles up.
Boss, good news! The Yumis and Tin Edge and the rest wanna get a lift.
He dodges your fist as you roar.
What? Zogamo!
He grins.
Exactly. We're gonna get one last fight. Figured you'd like that.
You drop your fist and order your grots to bring your biggest shooters and choppers and mega armor. Odgub and the mechs say we need to move the Hulk before we can take off. The runt herds have the ideal thing. The Squiggoth starts to drag the Hulk into position. Now you just have to kill anyone who comes close. Zog 'em all! Tied to the tip of the Hulk, Wordred is practically glowing with accumulated war energy from the ongoing battle below. You're the last to clamber aboard, still firing, reluctant to leave any enemy still standing. You signal to Odgub to press the big red button. Throughout the vast mass of shattered ships that make up the Hulk, every engine fires, from the smallest rogue trader scout to custom Orky engines to the gawky silent lifters. The battlefield beneath you is cleared of life in the blast as you spiral up to the storm, with Wordred's war-charged head clearing a path through it out to the stars, twinkling with the promise of endless war.